Let's talk about the Ghost Monument. Hello, my name is Rob Edwards, and this is my YouTube channel. Welcome back one and all, Doctor Who review time, and we're going to be talking about Series 11, Episode 2, The Ghost Monument. I'm going to give you the things that I liked, and the things which didn't quite land for me. And I have to say, this episode, unlike the last one, I'm a bit mixed on, so we'll be talking about things in both of those categories. What I want to start with, though, is the one thing which I have no qualms about at all, and that is the look of the episode. I mentioned it last time, but the new cinematic feel for Doctor Who this season, I'm absolutely loving it. Lots of wide vista shots to show the amazing location work that they did, and lots of quirky, strange camera angles for close-ups. Really interesting, really different, really gives a fresh feel for the show. But everything else is a bit more up for grabs. Let's go through in order. First up, I want to talk about the fact that we got our opening credits this time, and I am very happy that we did. It really stamped the episode as proper Doctor Who, right from the get-go, and that can only be a good thing. Let's talk about the Doctor. Last episode, I was pretty excited by Jodie's performance, and this time I'm a bit more mixed. My problem, I think, is that she is full on at all times, and when the action and the scene requires that, it is utterly captivating, utterly magnificent, and I really love it. But there are other times when her breathless energy just feels at odds with whatever else is going on the screen. And in those times, it really takes me out of it. It really makes it feel a bit more forced. And I think it's actually epitomised by her use of the sonic screwdriver. Every time she gets her screwdriver, this is obviously not hers, every time she gets it, it's always very big arm movements, very kind of dun dun dun. And even if it's just opening a door, opening a door that we didn't actually see. Ooh, big door, that's impressive. It was always very big arm motions. And there are times when that looks really cool. When the moment calls for it, it looks great. But when you're just doing the normal stuff you do with the sonic screwdriver in this show, it's just a bit over the top. So when she finds the right level, brilliant, love her. But it needs to be toned down in those scenes where that level's not required. For me. Companion watch time. The three of them are still doing a fine job of what they are required to do. I quite like that moment where the Doctor says they're being really good about not going on about being dragged across the galaxy. And I think that's probably fair. We get enough of it to show that they're adjusting, but we don't spend the entire time doing if I can go back to my Peter Davison eras again, doing their Tegans, oh, I don't want to be here, rah, 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 get me home, rah, rah, rah. They don't do that. And that's good. They are all still likeable. I still feel I'm connecting most to Bradley Walsh's Graham, which is still possibly about my grey hair. We get a little bit more of Yaz. We get a little bit to understand her background, her family, but mostly it's just that she's got a really normal family. Her sister wants her to move out so she can get her bedroom. Okay, that seems like a family thing that happens, but it's not really character defining, let's say. And Ryan, I like a couple of things that Ryan does in this episode, but they're all a little spoiled for me by that Call of Duty moment with a big alien gun, where he races out and shoots things, which is fine. I quite like we got the sort of over the gun shot, like first person shooter point of view thing, which I quite a nice look. But then when he runs wailing back into the cover when he can't reload, That was a very odd note, very strange performance choice. I need to talk about the TARDIS. I know this video is already long, and I recorded this first bit before, and I spent a good 4 or 5 minutes ranting about the new TARDIS, and I don't want to make this video a huge long epic for people, but I do need to just get a couple of things off my chest about the new TARDIS design. First, the outside, fine. Whatever changes there, they don't bother me at all. White text on black, black text on white, Inside's a bit dark for my liking. The sort of the not round things, more sort of hexagonal things. Aesthetically, fine. It's a period of adjustment. I'm sure that sort of stuff will grow on me. But the two things which will not grow on me, the first, the lesser of the two, is the spinning crystal police box on the console. And this really bugs me because it's like the TARDIS has forgotten there's a chameleon circuit. Now, if the chameleon circuit were at some point to get fixed and that little crystal police box spinning thing turned into whatever the TARDIS now looked like, and if they made a point of showing that, actually that would completely negate my one argument about this point. But until that happens, it really irritates me, because it is like they've forgotten the chameleon circuit exists. The TARDIS does not look like that. I mean, the TARDIS does look like that, but the TARDIS does not look like that. So a permanent fixture in the TARDIS which looks like a police box is just missing the point. But the thing which really bugs me about the new TARDIS design is that they have stripped away one of the most magical things about the TARDIS, the idea that it is bigger on the inside than the outside. Because in this new TARDIS design, it's not bigger on the inside. If you think back to when they open the door and they walk in, they walk through the wooden shell and then step into the console room. So what we get, in fact, is that the wooden shell has a doorway in the back of it which takes you into the other dimension where the console is. It has turned the TARDIS shell into the cupboard in the Narnia books, the wardrobe in the Narnia books. Basically, you walk through the wardrobe and step into this other world. The thing which, for me, was always so magical, always so exciting about the TARDIS, is that it fit all of the TARDIS inside the wooden shell. And it's not doing that anymore. It's actually blown that idea completely out of the water. You cannot have a companion walk into the new TARDIS and say, it's bigger on the inside. Because the console room is not inside the TARDIS anymore. That's not inside the wooden shell. And that really annoys me. So that's nice. I got a bit more animated about the TARDIS than I intended to. Sorry about that. But what I really want to finish on today is the thing which gives me the most problems with this episode. And that is the story, the plot. It is an episode of complete wasted potential. I love the idea of this intergalactic race fought out across planets, and this is the finale. But for a finale between two racers who have fought through 93 other worlds to get here, we don't really get any sense that that's what's happening. There's no sense of a race. In no way is this episode depicting the end of a race. Look, I know it's all building to the idea that they're going to cross the finishing line together, But surely we should see some sort of competition between them, other than the occasional sniping and one bit where Epso's holding a gun at Angstrom's head. I think it was a mistake to have only one way to cross the poisonous water. If there had been two boats, and the companions hadn't been brought together yet, and there was still a race going on between the Doctor and Yaz and Epso in one boat, and Angstrom and Graham and Ryan in another, we would have still seen a lot more action between that. We would have seen a lot more stakes in the race, and it would be more believable as a race. Also, as a race, it's kind of weird that there seemed to be no way for anyone other than the participants to be aware of what was going on. This is them crossing the finishing line. If this is a race, you'd expect there to be spectators. You'd expect them to have cameras floating around, following them, monitoring what's going on, sending images back to fans who are watching this race, going, "Oh, come on, Epso, come on, Angstrom." We don't get even a hint that that might be going on here. It's all just a bit empty. And this is a world, speaking of empty, which is supposedly full of deadly weapons. Everything should be there to try and kill them. The water's poisonous. The water is full of flesh-eating microbes. The air is apparently toxic, although we don't really talk about that very much, but apparently it is. There are killer robots that can't shoot straight. There's strangling bandages which are fine. When they started talking, they lost me, I have to say. That whole thing. But it was really just missed opportunity after missed opportunity. There should have been more tension. There should have been more stakes throughout. To make the overriding goal of this episode to get to the TARDIS it was a bit like the false cliffhanger that we got of them in space. Yes, of course they're going to get out of space before they all die in a vacuum, because it's the first episode of the season. Yes, of course they're going to get to the TARDIS. Actually, it would have been far more interesting if they hadn't gotten to the TARDIS. And at the end they would have just missed it and had to go find another way off the planet and try again to get the TARDIS back. Missed opportunities. That's what this episode features. I think there are some fantastic ideas which, if they've been realised in just a slightly different way, it could have been a thrilling ride throughout. But as it is, we sit on a boat, we talk backstories at each other, and then we go to sleep for a bit. There is very little that you can do in an episode of Doctor Who to suck the tension out of what's going on, other than everyone having a nap in the middle. I mean, it drove me mad. So that's it for another review of Doctor Who. If I was going to rate this one, am I rating these episodes? Let's say I am rating these episodes for now. I want to give this one about a 7, 6, 7, 6.5 out of 10. There's a lot of things that I really do like about this episode, despite the fact I've just gone off on one about the things which didn't work for me. The Ghost Monument. What did you think? If you have comments, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, write them down there, please. I'll be back on Friday for Follow-Up Friday, when I'm going to talk about my 5 favourite Doctor Who alien worlds throughout the entire history of Doctor Who that I've seen anyway. And then next week I'll be back to review the next episode of Doctor Who. Thanks for watching. Cheers.